And welcome to another edition of Ask a Recruiter. This session will be focused more specifically on students applying from the United States, but if anybody else has any questions, feel free to chime in and let us know where you're applying from. My name is Courtney. I'm a recruitment officer here at U of T, and this is my coworker Natalie, who's also a recruitment officer. Happy to answer anything that you guys might have or might be wondering about at this point in the cycle. To start, we'll probably just do a quick little update to give you an idea of some things that are going on, some things to keep in mind as you're moving forward. So first of all, where are we in the admission cycle? It is April now, so we're coming to the end. If you have received a decision, congratulations. Continue to pay attention to your email, as many important updates will be sent there. And be sure to follow along and look in your offer letter for any other information about important deadlines, about who to contact if you have questions, or any sort of other nitty-gritty little details.
Yeah, I'll just add as well that if you have been offered admission, make sure you're paying attention to the conditions listed in your offer. Some of them might be very specific, some of them might be general, and your offer letter could be different than your friends or anyone else you know from that's been applying or admitted to the university. So read your offer letter very carefully, and as Courtney mentioned, deadlines are going to be very important. Things like residence, deposits, course selection, and next steps.
Yes, and if you do have questions about next steps, that's a great thing to mention. Please contact your college or your department or your campus, depending on the program or area that you were admitted to. They'll be able to give you lots of good information on when to select your courses, how to pay your fees, if they have any orientation sessions over the summer or any welcome sessions coming up, and also when fall orientation will be for whatever program you're admitted to. So keep paying attention and in contact with them as well.
Yeah, it does typically happen a little bit later. I know some students have emailed being like, where's my course selection? And we're like, we haven't decided who's coming yet. So great that you're ahead of the game. Great that you're being proactive. But a lot of that information will typically come after the May 1st, or sometimes in Canadian schools, we have a June deadline. So just sit tight, and that typically would come a little bit closer to the summer. But we will give you everything you need. We promise. We won't leave you in the dark.
If you have not received an admissions decision, please be sure to continue monitoring your status check page, as all important updates will be posted there. You may also be receiving emails from us, so keep checking both places. If there's any documents that are outstanding, please get those into us as soon as possible, as we do understand that many of you may be facing May 1st deadlines from U.S. universities that you've applied to. We will try and get back to you as quickly as possible, but as our document deadline was February 1st, we're still continuing to make decisions if there's space left in the programs that you've applied for. So maybe we'll start with a couple of questions while we've got a few here. So hello to those of you who have sent those in. So can transfer students from college receive a scholarship?
So typically admission scholarships are for first-year students, so entering first-year students, making transfer students ineligible for those types of scholarships. Once you become a current student at the University of Toronto, you will be eligible for a different host of scholarships that you can apply to depending on your college or your faculty or your department. So definitely keep an eye out for that once you start, and that shouldn't deter you from applying for maybe private scholarships or things like FAFSA, which you would be eligible for. Just make sure they're transferable to the University of Toronto or a Canadian university. So again, not for the admission scholarships, you wouldn't be eligible for those, but for any current scholarships once you become a student on our campus, you would be.
Yes, and just to remind students who were applicants from high school, if you received an admissions scholarship from U of T, the information would have been in your offer letter, so that's where you need to check for that. And now another hot topic is residence. So as most of you should know, or all of you really should know, we did have a deadline this past Friday on March 31st to submit all of your residence information. If a student has missed that deadline, what can they do? What's their next steps?
So at this point, if you missed the March 31st deadline, you don't technically have a guarantee of on-campus residence anymore. I would still encourage you to go and fill it out as soon as possible, because if we do have spaces, we'll slowly move down that list. In terms of off-campus housing, we do have a whole host of options. Our housing office is fully equipped for both on and off-campus housing. So we do have an off-campus housing database where you can search apartments or homes that students have rented in the past, or landlords that have worked with our students in the past. So take a look on our housing website for off-campus housing options. And you will get access to that once you become a fully registered student when you confirm your offer. So still an option to live on campus, potentially, not a guarantee, but so many options to live in the city, and we're right in the middle of downtown, so there's so many great options for really close housing.
Yeah. On the subject of housing again, are transfer students guaranteed housing in their first year?
They're not guaranteed housing in the first year as well, but the same answer applies. The off-campus housing finder is a really great option. It's something that I used as a student after my first year of university. I found some amazing and really affordable places that are probably as close as some of the residence buildings to campus.
Absolutely. Lots of really close options. I have a student who asked a question about his application to engineering. He had applied to engineering science and was offered an alternate offer into electrical engineering. So will he continue to be considered for engineering science, or was that his engineering offer?
That's your engineering offer. So the way the engineering offers work is that if you listed additional options, I think you had up to 4 options that you could list. If they can't consider you for your first option, they'll work their way down that list. So electrical engineering was the one that you were considered academically qualified for, which is amazing. It's hard enough to get an offer to our Faculty of Engineering, and engineering science is the most competitive program, not only in the Faculty of Engineering, but at the university. So it is a very challenging, rigorous program to get into, but the electrical engineering will provide as well minors that might be closely related to the engineering science area. But congratulations. I'm sorry it's not exactly where you wanted to go, but it's still amazing that you got an offer.
Overall, great program.
Yeah.
And so generally with alternate offers, what can students expect if they've gotten an alternate offer? What does that mean about their application?
So it really depends. So in engineering, that answer that I just gave is very specific to the engineering faculty. For students that maybe have applied to the Faculty of Arts and Science here at the St. George campus, you might have been considered for an alternate offer at our Mississauga or Scarborough campus before you might have even gotten an offer from St. George. So that's just saying, hey, we really like your application. We're really interested in you as a student. So take us under consideration if you still haven't heard from St. George or if you don't get an offer from St. George. But as I said, any offer from the University of Toronto is a fantastic accomplishment because we are really competitive admission, and this cycle has been an extremely competitive admission cycle. So a great option at another campus or another program to come and start with us in the fall.
Absolutely. So I have a couple of questions now from students about course selection and about the programs they can take. So first of all, a student's asking, where can they browse courses? Where can they see a list of maybe courses and course descriptions of things they can take?
Yes, so we no longer print our course calendar because it is a beast. And we want to save the trees and the environment and the world in general. So you can actually browse course calendars, and departments actually list all the courses that they offer as well. So my main piece of advice as a student that has gone through this process, sort of trial and error, is kind of look beyond what your core areas of interest are and sort of explore. There are amazing courses in the Faculty of Arts and Science at all 3 of the campuses. So there's really interesting niche programs that you can look for, and maybe will spark your interest. So you might take a course that you will never ever take again, but it could have been a great exploration. I mean, I took astronomy, I took psychology, fantastic courses, never took them again, but also really enriched my undergraduate experience. So take a browse, there are a lot. We offer an extreme variety of courses, so you can definitely sort of mix and match and build your degree exactly how you want. But that course calendar, you'll find it on the faculty's website. So Faculty of Arts and Science course calendar you can Google, or engineering course calendar. So take a look through that.
On the subject of courses and planning your years, can you change majors and graduate in time? How does that work?
Yeah, you certainly can. So typically a degree here at the University of Toronto is divided in a few areas. So you're basically going to declare either a specialization, meaning that you're going to be focused exclusively in one subject area. So programs like kinesiology, engineering, business, those are what we consider specialization programs. Other programs have a little bit more flexibility, like arts and science. You can have a double major option where you're combining 2 subject areas, and the third option is a major and 2 minors. So 3 different programs of study that you're exploring throughout your 4 years. Typically at the end of your first year of university is when you'll decide which of these combinations you'll want to get into. For some programs, as I mentioned, they're automatically specializations, but you can always add a minor or electives in other subject areas. The good thing about all of this is that your faculty or your college will walk you through this process and understanding our course calendar, which kind of has its own language. In the summer, we have online welcome sessions, and your registrars will get in touch with understanding that and providing some information. If you're coming to campus at all, a lot of the registrars, the faculties in the colleges might have sessions over the summer or drop-in hours. We have had some admitted students already come in to drop-in hours at some of the registrars' offices. So the best thing to do is to get in touch with your specific registrar and see what events are going to be coming up or online sessions are coming up.
Yeah, and we also had a specific question about music. So a student was wondering if they could do a minor in music. And so some of you might have been familiar with this handy dandy brochure during the fall. Maybe we came to your school and gave you one of these, or you stopped by the office and got one. This is our admissions bulletin, so all the nuts and bolts were in here. The copy of this is also available online if you're curious, but you've all gotten in at this point, or you're on the way, you've already applied, so we've already got you that far. Inside of this beautiful program chart here, I'm just going to hide behind this. You can see all the programs listed. So for music, there is one option to do a minor within the Faculty of Arts and Science, and it would be the Music History and Culture program. So it's not a audition-based program because it's not a performance-based program, but you'd still have the opportunity to sort of explore that interest if you're interested in music and doing a minor in that. We do have two other major options as well that can involve a performance component, so different ways to get involved with music, but like Natalie was just saying, you don't have to fully make those decisions until the end of your first year, how you want to plan that out.
Yeah, and I'll also add, Courtney, that our music faculty actually has ensembles that you can try out for, even if you're not doing music as an academic program. So you can actually check on the Faculty of Music website for their different ensembles, and there are select spots for non-music students. Additionally, we have, as you probably heard while we were talking with you in the fall, over 800 student clubs and committees at U of T. So you can always do something that is your passion and not boil it down to a science or an academic subject. So we have things like choirs or guitar clubs, or even things like photography. So different ways that you can get different things from your degree outside of the classroom. So don't think that because you can't do a music minor or major, or for example, you decide you don't want to, you can still incorporate that into your undergraduate experience.
Yeah, that's a great point. Learning can take place outside of the classroom as well, so you can get involved in lots of different ways. Yeah. So we have a fun question. So what kinds of things do you do during orientation week? What happens during orientation week?
I can't tell you. That's top secret. You have to come here. No, well, we call it Frosh Week. Orientation Week is Frosh Week here at U of T. And it's a fantastic week. It's some of my best memories at U of T when I was a first year student, but also when I became a Frosh leader in my upper years and got to help new first year students. So basically, I guess the logistical part of it is to get you familiar with the university, with things like our library system, your student card, which we call a T-card, also get you connected with people within your faculty or within your college. So just getting some fantastic connections with first year students, but also upper year students and sort of learning their tricks of the trade and navigating the university. But there are amazing things where you'll do different events. You'll learn about all the student clubs. So we have a clubs day where all the clubs are showcased on campus, all 800 and more. So it's a really great way to sort of introduce you to the campus. And then each faculty or college has their own traditions, which you'll see.
Some of those are secret, actually.
Yeah. So you'll see them play out during the week. But again, it's going to be a fantastic week. It's a great way to introduce you not only to the university, but also to the city. And then we end off with a big bang. We do a parade and take over downtown Toronto, and then make our way to the campus. And there's a concert and a bunch of parties that end off the week. So it's all good times, but we'll also give you some more serious information along the way.
Definitely help you feel a little bit more comfortable on campus and in Toronto if you've never been here or lived here for much time. So now a question on a maybe less exciting subject. Can you tell us a little bit about what Acorn is?
Okay, so Acorn is a really good platform actually for navigating your classrooms or your schedule here at U of T. So once you start deciding your courses in the summer, you actually can sort of like shop on Acorn for your courses. So you can start to browse the courses that are going to be available next year and sort of add them to your cart. And then the day that you're supposed to register for course selection, you can actually just click on them, and so have like a pre-selected group that you choose from. So that's a really good handy tool for course selection. But it's also where you'll find your fees. It'll be where you find all your information about your courses. So it's basically our student service site where it's all centralized information related to your undergraduate program and experience here at U of T.
And the most exciting thing you can do on Acorn is after 4 years, you can request graduation.
Yeah.
And then
and finish off your undergrad and then walk across our front campus and go to Convocation Hall.
Yes.
But yeah, so everything logistical probably would happen, and it's all online and really simple, way simpler than in my time.
Oh yeah,
back
this
in my
system
day.
is much better.
But for now, as an introductory method, it's a really good way to start to browse courses and sort of keep them in your bank for potentials when you register for courses.
Yes. So we're getting a couple of questions about immigration, and I want to preface this by saying that Canada does have some pretty strict laws around who can talk about immigration because they don't want people giving out bad advice. So if it seems like we're being vague or we're like not telling the truth or we're not really, giving you all the information, it's because there is a website with all that information available to you that is run by the Government of Canada, and I will spell the website out for you right now so you can write it down and go look there if you have any questions about coming to Canada as a student. It is cic.gc.ca, and you can just click on Study in Canada and then go to the study permit page and see what documents are required, the timelines, who to contact for more information, all of that type of thing. If you are a dual citizen, if you hold US and Canadian citizenship or another citizenship and Canadian citizenship, it is the recommendation of many that you would get a Canadian passport. However, there are other ways to study in Canada, and those can be found more on the CIC website. There's lots of information about the study permit process there. You can also contact your local consulate or embassy. There's usually one in big cities around the US, and they can give you all the forms and information and sort of the timeline of how that works.
Yeah. And it's always best to start that process sooner rather than later, because depending on where you're applying from, and the timeline ranges, as Courtney said, you could be waiting for a little while, or it could be very quick. So better not to play with chance and get that done as soon as possible. Once you become a student on our campus, we actually have a certified immigration advisor. So if you have any questions about your study permit once you start, or things like inviting your parents to come and visit, or jobs and things like that, or even after you graduate, your postgraduate work permit, things like that, you'll have someone here that will advise you and be officially certified to give you all that legal information, which we are not certified to do. So we apologize that we can't be more specific, but someone will be helpful for you in the fall.
Yes, absolutely. I've got a couple questions about internal transfers. So can you transfer from one campus to another? Let's say maybe you're studying computer science at one campus and you want to transfer to another campus. How does that work? What's an internal transfer look like? So that means that you're at one U of T campus or in one program and want to go to another one.
Yeah, it's not as easy as just picking up your backpack and say, bye Scarborough, I'm going to Mississauga. So you do have to apply to transfer. So you'll get in touch with your registrar and you'll do an online application just as you did to get into the university in the first place. And it'll really depend on your academic progress, regardless of the campus that you went to. And it'll also depend on the space available in the program in the second year or the third year whenever you apply to transfer. So once you decide you'd like to transfer, just talk to your registrar about the application process and what you need to do. That being said, you don't necessarily have to transfer. Maybe there's a course or two that you're interested in at another campus, because we do have different courses at different campuses. You are eligible to take a few credits here and there at our other campuses, but you can't build a whole other program in another campus. So if you're interested in taking an elective or two at another campus, that's definitely allowed. If you're interested in transferring, you would have to apply.
Exactly. And it might be worth it to give it a year and see. Maybe you'll discover that you really love the UTM campus and you don't want to leave after that first year and the program really suits you. So it's the same thing if students are still concerned or wondering about transferring colleges. They maybe wanted to go with one of their friends. Give it a year and see. Maybe you'll discover that you really love, the college that you were admitted to, and you'll have a great time there. So definitely worth giving it a chance. A couple more questions about scholarships. So a quick update on the Lester B. Pearson International Scholarship. All applicants will be informed of their decision, so that will happen in the coming weeks. I know many of you may be on the edge of your seats, but we are working through that process right now. If you did earn a merit scholarship, that is just for your first year. It's not renewable beyond that, but as Natalie was mentioning earlier, you do have the opportunity to apply for a number of scholarships. I believe it's about 4,000 in-course scholarships in your upper years. And if you did get a merit scholarship, the award amount would be listed in your offer letter. So just revisit that for all the important information, like we were saying, including the dollar amount of your merit scholarship in Canadian dollars, if you needed to have that clarified. We do have a different currency, believe it or not, even though we seem to sometimes be very similar in a lot of ways. Alrighty, let's pick another question here. So a couple more questions sort of about admissions decision timing. If students submitted documents late, sort of what's the timeline looking like for them?
So it really depends on when your application was received, when your documents were received. If you submitted documents after our document deadline, essentially there's no guarantee that there will be a consideration of your documents. We will review all applications and all documents, but if there's no space in the program left, there's nothing else that we can do. Our hands are sort of tied at that point. So you just have to sit and wait and wait to hear back from us. As I mentioned before, this year has been a very competitive admission year, so there's not a lot you can do. We always encourage students to set things early rather than later. We are going to review everything as fast as we can and as soon as we can.
I have a question about some sort of work opportunity between third and fourth year. What could that be? Could you explain a little bit about the Professional Experience Year program?
Yeah, so Professional Experience Year, PEY for short, is an opportunity for students to go away for 12 months or 16 months if they add the summer, and fully immerse themselves in a career that they're potentially working towards in their undergraduate program. Typically, students in engineering, business, and computer science are the ones that do this program. And so they'll work with our Professional Experience Year office to find a placement that's suitable for them and their professional goals. And they'll actually apply and interview for the positions, and then hopefully get an offer and choose their offer. And then from there, spend a year, earn a full salary on that year. So students on average earn between $45,000 to $50,000 during the year, but depending on your sector, it could be much higher. So we have had some really interesting positions that students go into, and then thereafter get a job opportunity after graduation. So that is a really good opportunity. There are also things like internships. There are things like co-op at the Scarborough campus if you applied there. That's also professional placement, a different version of that. We also have things like work study, where you can work on campus for a limited number of hours a week and sort of balance your study and your working life. And there are a variety of part-time positions that are on and off campus that are promoted by our Career Center. So once you get access to all of the U of T data bank, so through Acorn and housing and all of that, you can actually go on the Career Learning Network and start to find positions that you can be eligible for once you're a student.
Yeah, and we actually had a question about that sort of related. Somebody was asking about being a tour guide.
Oh.
So I was a tour guide. It was a great experience. I loved working on campus and getting to show people around our beautiful campus downtown. And there's tour guides at the other campuses too who enjoy showing visitors around and teaching them more about U of T. So yes, you can definitely apply to be a tour guide. I believe you can start as early as your second year. And we're looking for students who are excited about U of T, who are really motivated, who are involved with a lot of really cool activities that they can tell visitors about. So definitely a good on-campus job if you're looking for one. There's also sort of a funny question. What's the highest average you've seen during this admission cycle? Well, there's some really good students out there, so.
Pretty high.
Pretty high.
Pretty
We'll leave
good.
it at that.
It's top secret information.
We'll leave it at that. Somebody was saying that they're going to be away this summer traveling, and should they shorten their trip and be back by August to get important information from their college?
First of all, I'm jealous. I hope you have a fantastic time traveling, and that's a really good pre-university strategy. You'll get sent everything electronically, so if you have Wi-Fi access, and you probably won't get anything that late in the game. Like all the information will likely come in June. And so the best thing to do, again, would be to contact your registrar, see if there's anything that you need to know about in the summer. But really the soonest that you should end your trip is maybe a few days before move-in date for residents, which is typically at the very end of August. beginning of September.
Yes, and if you have any concerns, just contact your registrar's office. They can kind of give you a better idea of the exact dates. Okay, so just a couple more questions before we wrap up here. As always, if you have more questions and we didn't get to them, you can post them in the message board and we'll get back to you one by one. So not a problem there. Could you still receive a scholarship during the admissions round in May if your average goes up? And what are the averages to get an admissions scholarship?
That's a very intricate question. So it really depends on where you're applying from, and so I'm going to say generally no. But however, with the caveat that sometimes faculties or colleges might consider you for admission scholarships a little bit later.
Yes.
So the merit-based scholarships are the ones that come in on your offer letter, and those are all detailed there. But maybe later on in the game, a college or a faculty can say, hey, we think you would be a fantastic candidate for this scholarship. We're offering you this money. But that's not set in stone. That's not something you can apply to. That's not something you can do anything about. But again, you could hear back about additional funding a little bit later.
Yes, great answer. One more question. If you miss the move-in day, what happens? Is this a big concern?
Well, if you're deciding to live on residence, you should probably move in at some point. No, like if you miss the very first day, it's fine. But typically the orientation / frosh week will happen a day or two later. So hopefully you'll make it for that, because it is in your best interest to sort of start to understand the campus. But no, you can technically move in when you'd like.
I would again contact the residence office or your registrar's office at your college or division just to make sure that they're aware of your situation and if you're moving in late, because like Natalie was saying, a lot of the orientation activities start right after that, so you want to make sure you're around for all the fun and good information.
Yeah, exactly. Again, move-in dates will vary depending. I know engineering students start a little bit early because you guys are right on top of your academics and really excited for learning. So it'll vary. So just pay attention to your own information that's coming directly to you and not your best buddy sitting beside you.
Yes, great. So I think we're going to wrap up. One other little plug at the very end is for our ONES programs. If you haven't had a chance to look at those, there are still some that have applications open. These are a series or one or more courses in your first year that you can take in a smaller seminar-style learning environment, and they are on a variety of topics. So they're not just for a social science student. Students within the Faculty of Arts and Science or within many programs at our Scarborough, Mississauga campuses are eligible to apply for these and enjoy a smaller class size in their first year, maybe take something that you're really interested in or like to learn more about. So you can definitely check out those programs if you're looking to, again, customize your experience a bit more in first year. Just as a final reminder, we are still reviewing applications and documents as they come in. If programs have filled up, we may not be able to offer you a spot, as our document deadline was February 1st. Sometimes things get submitted late, so we're not able to offer you a spot if the program has filled up. But continue to monitor status check and your email for any updates. If you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And if you have any questions, generally speaking, that were not answered in this live stream, please go ahead and post those on the message board and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So anything else to add, or?
Probably one last thing about like Frosh Week and orientation is that there are activities scheduled within your specific college or faculty, but they're all different things that happen. So I know the Academic Success Center puts on things, sessions about like how to learn and how to take lecture notes and different things that you need to adapt to with the university learning style. I know that the Center for International Experience has an orientation that happens simultaneously for international students. So make sure you keep an eye out and get the best out of the week and also have an amazing time. But I know it's a little nerdy to be like, go to the Academic Success Center, but trust me, it'll be really, really helpful, and a lot of students don't know about it. So that's my pro tip.
Yes, and on that exciting note, we will go ahead and sign off. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the live stream, and stay in touch if you have questions.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.